Let's go to Canberra now and catch up with Liberal Senator Dave Sharma. Thanks for joining us, Dave. The Senate sitting today, of course, and not the House. You must be encouraged by the trend in these polls.
Well, I spent the weekend at some of the local government elections that were happening in New South Wales, Chris, and look, I was encouraged by the comments I heard from voters at the polling booths. You know, there was, I think, a lot of frustration with Labor and their lack of an economic agenda. There was also a lot of dislike for the Greens and the Independents for their work in undermining social cohesion in Australia, and I think there was a lot of support for Liberals. So that's the feedback I take most seriously. Look, the polls, as you know, they're volatile, they move around, but if we focus on holding Labor to account, presenting a credible alternative, I think we'll be in a good position.
Well, talking about presenting that credible alternative, there are reports that some of your colleagues are pushing Peter Dutton and the Shadow Cabinet to take further tax cuts to the election, perhaps those tax cuts for the high-income earners that Labor got rid of in the Stage 3 tax cuts. Can you confirm those discussions are happening, and do you think that would be a good idea?
Well, look, I think we'll certainly be unveiling our own approach to taxes before the election, and I'm personally committed to seeing a tax system that is simpler, fairer and lower as well, because I think, what we've seen in particular the past 2 years of the Albanese government is people on seeing their purchasing power eroded because higher nominal incomes have pushed them into much higher tax brackets than they should be, and they're losing a huge amount of money to income tax, paying a lot more than they would have otherwise. So, we had a proposal, as you know, to basically have the top rate only kick in above $200,000 and have the 95% of taxpayers paying no more than 30 cents in the dollar. Now, I appreciate that Labor has changed that, and to unscramble that egg now is difficult, but I think we do need to be taking our own alternative tax plan to the electorate, and that will be unveiled.
It would be
plenty of time before the election.
If you went back to that model, though, it would make it fairer, simpler and lower.
It would, but I'm also conscious that, Labor's changed that now, and we're going to have to look at exactly, what the balance sheet looks like, what our fiscal commitments are, what are the pressures on the budget, and it would be irresponsible, certainly for me, but I think even for us as a party to do that before an election's called.
All right, I want to get your thoughts on what's unfolded in the US with this other assassination plot foiled against Donald Trump. Here's what Anthony Albanese had to say today.
Everyone wants the democratic process to be peaceful and to be orderly. This incident in the United States is of concern again.
Now, everyone knows you were a former ambassador in Israel, Dave, but you also served as a diplomat in Washington. Are you surprised at the level of security that was around Donald Trump, where effectively the Secret Service were just scouting one hole ahead as he did his round of golf?
Look, I'm shocked and pretty appalled that there's been another attempt on the life of one of the two presidential candidates. This is like 2 in 2 months, right? It's pretty troubling because obviously, if any of these attempts, it was a very narrowly run thing that Trump was not seriously injured or worse as a result of the assassination attempt on him, the previous one. The fact that people seem to be coming as close as they are to him and the sort of political turmoil, rightly, that would unleash in the United States is almost beyond thinking about. So, I would hope that the Secret Service, the domestic intelligence agencies are doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. And I'm a little concerned that, again, this seems to have some sort of, lone wolf type actor seems to have come as close as he has to one of the candidates for the presidency.